Options trading can be very hard to understand at first. There are a lot of things to understand, there are a lot of things to cover. That's why in this video, I wanted to share with you what are personally the resources that I learned from, what are the things that helped me, what are the mistakes also that I've done. So hopefully it's useful for you in your own journey. But before diving into this video, if you find at any point this video helpful or interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel. It's free, it helps me a lot, you can't imagine. The first thing that you need to understand about options trading is really how options are priced and what makes option prices move, whether up or down. It's really the first step that you need to understand. And the reason why you want to understand how option prices are actually moving, what are the different factors that make them move, is because when you're going to trade yourself, when you're going to buy calls, buy puts, or sell puts, you want to understand what is it that's going to make you earn money in the end. What is it that is going to make the option price move so you're going to make a profit in the end. And don't think that there's, for example, only the stock that is going to make the option price move. Of course, there's the stock, for example, there's the underlying that is going to make the option price move, but there also other factors like the time decay, the volatility. That's why it's very important to understand how option prices are actually being moved. And for that, I really recommend you to watch Tastytrade videos. It's really an amazing place to start learning options trading, and most importantly, it's free. Everything is completely free. All of their videos, all of their shows are completely free, and it's really personally what I've done when I started learning about options trading. I started binge watching like all of their shows, I started binge watching all of their videos, and that was so much help. That was so much help, and I can't even believe that all of this is free. You don't need to pay for anything, and that's really the most important thing that you need to understand. You don't need to pay for any course, you don't need to pay for any mentoring sessions. If you want to, that's fine, but know that all of the information that you need is out there for free. And Tastytrade is really an amazing place to start. And personally, watching the show Market Measures has really been an amazing learning curve for me, because they share all of their backtests that they've done on different strategies. And personally, I was really binge watching all of their shows. I was watching maybe 5 hours a day of videos because I really wanted to learn everything that there was about options. And with Tastytrade, they really educate their audience like very well. There is everything that you need for free out there. By the way, if you have a small account and you're really just starting out and you really don't have a lot of capital to buy stocks, then I have a very good news for you. If you go into the first link of the description and you open an account and you deposit $100 with Webull, then you'll be given 4 free stocks. That's literally free money. By just depositing $100, you'll be given 4 free stocks valued each to $1,600. So that's really a good opportunity. If you want to benefit from it, just go into the first link of the description. And once you've learned how option prices move, what makes them move, like in terms of volatility, time decay, stock prices, it's really about practicing after that. And for this, I really recommend you to use Thinkorswim. They have great paper trading, and paper trading is honestly an amazing way to start options. You don't risk any money, it's completely free, and you can absolutely do as many mistakes as you want. I know it sounds stupid because paper trading is basically known by everyone at that point, but honestly, it's really an amazing way to start without risking any of your money. And nowadays, you can really go on Thinkorswim paper trading account website, and you can start opening an account and start paper trading that way and start practicing everything that you, for example, watch on Tastytrade. And that's exactly what I've done personally, and I've done this for several months so as to really get a hand on options. For example, I started using strategies like credit spreads, like short strangles, so as really to understand what I was doing in the markets. And that's personally been really helpful to be able to practice those strategies on a paper trading account before switching to a real account. Something that I would really recommend anyone who's willing to start options is to really find a process that you can repeat over and over and stick to it. For example, I've really shared in a lot of videos how I personally trade myself, for whether it's about earnings, whether it's about how I sell cash secured puts, for example, or how I use the real strategy. And you need to find a process that you can repeat over and over. You need to find a strategy that is repeatable. Rather than randomly buying calls or buying puts, it's way better to find an edge and repeat that over and over and really repeat that strategy whenever the opportunity arises. And that was really my focus when I started options trading. I really wanted to discover what process I could repeat over and over, what was a strategy that I could use most of the time. And nowadays, my trading is really clear. I either trade earnings, or I'm going to use the wheel strategy, or I also invest in a long-term portfolio. That's basically how I trade in the market, how I invest in the markets, and that's basically it. Except for sometimes we are going to buy some calls or some puts on some opportunities that arise. Most of the times, that's 90% of my trades are usually through earnings or through, for example, the wheel strategy. And that's basically it. That's why I really recommend to just stick to a process, find your process, find a repeatable edge, and just do it over and over. And I really recommend you to watch the videos that I've made on how I personally trade earnings, how I personally use the wheel strategy, because I really share my process in that, and I hope that it'll be helpful for you. Other than that, there is also a great book written by Sheldon Natenberg, which is called Option Volatility Pricing and Advanced Strategies. I know the title is long, but it's really a good book. It taught me a lot about options. If you rather read rather than watch videos, I think this book is really probably the best book about options that you can find. I'll put a link in the description of the video about this book so you can find it on Amazon. And now that I've talked about different resources that help me, like Tastytrade videos, or for example the book written by Sheldon Natenberg, I want to talk about some mistakes that I've done, so hopefully it's helpful for you so you don't do the same mistakes as me. The first mistake that I've done is probably trying to focus on money rather than trying to create a repeatable edge, a repeatable process. And I know it's very tempting whenever you see, for example, that there is like some opportunities that arise, you think that the stock is going to go up, so you quickly want to buy a call so as to make a quick money. However, trust me, on the long term, and you always have to think about the long term, on the long term it's way better to try to find a repeatable process. Even though it's slow and it's hard, it's way better to have this strategy that you can repeat on the long term rather than trying to rush for some quick money. The second mistake that I've done is trying to oversize my positions. Because the options in itself is a leverage product, meaning that a contract controls 100 shares of the stock, it's really easy to get over leverage when you're trading options. That's why it's very important to keep your size in check, and honestly you can do as many mistakes as you want. In options you can always come back from most of the mistakes, but you cannot come back from losing too much money at once, because your capital is really like the engine of your business. It's really the thing that is going to make your options trading business run. And if you lose that capital because you've taken trades that are too big compared to what you could afford, and you actually lose that money, then you won't be able to trade anymore. That's why it's so important to always keep your size in check. And one quick tip that I've done myself that really helped me at the beginning is whenever you take a trade, whenever you do anything, always consider the worst possible outcome and see if you're fine with it. And when you start thinking like this, your mentality really starts shifting, because when you really consider the worst possible outcome for each and every single trade you take, you start really being careful about the trades that you're taking. And if you're fine, for example, with losing, I don't know, $2,000 on a trade, then I'd say that's fair. But if you're not fine with it, don't take that trade. Regardless of the potential money that you could make out of this trade, if you're not fine with the worst possible outcome of any trade, don't take that trade. Please don't do it. Don't do the same mistakes as I've done. And overall, if you follow all of this that I've said, I'm pretty sure that you will get to a good level pretty fast. Nowadays, as I said, my own trading is only based on basically earning trails and trading the wheel strategy. That's basically what I do. Otherwise, I also invest in a long-term portfolio, but that's really for the long term and I really don't touch it. I earn dividends on this, but that's it. I don't really trade it as such. I only trade, as I said, the wheel strategy, and I'm completely fine by trading that way and doing this over and over. So hopefully this will have helped you understand where maybe you need to start with, what resources you need to go, for example, Tastytrade or the book written by Sheldon Natenberg. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment it below. I'll happily answer any questions that you might have. Please make good and informed decisions. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, I wish you all the best.